Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, folks. How you doing? I hope you're doing well, because I am, and I've got my tea and I've got my water here right next to me, and we've got another great guest. So, and I'm glad that you're here with us to be a part of this conversation. And we continue to celebrate Women's History Month, and we kind of double up on that today. I'm not going to tell you anymore, but just to push you forward as we speak to another one of our leaders, legends, and trailblazers in the world of Harlem. And before I forget, I know staffers keep reminding me to announce that we are the 2018-2019 winners of the Alignable first awarding of the West Harlem Business of the Year Award. You hear me clapping for myself. I'm sorry, for ourselves. This is not an award for me. It's for Harlem World Magazine, and it really is in no way about me. It's about the team that makes this company run. So just want to talk about that and then go right into the real good stuff. But before we do that, stay connected with us, and you can do that by going to Twitter, Facebook, going to our website, harlemworldmagazine.com, and just putting in Harlem World Magazine into those search engines wherever you are and whatever search engine you are using to find us, track us down, talk to us, ask us questions, find out what you're looking for in Harlem, and find out about this incredible history of this incredible little community that Los Angeles Times or whoever it was called the greatest community in the world. I might be a little biased. Of course, I agree with that. And as part of Women's History Month, we have Honorable Tanya R. Kennedy with us today. Ms. Kennedy is immediate past president of the National Association of Women Judges, an organization of over 1,000 judges, attorneys, law professors, and law students from across the nation. I could never be a lawyer, even though my parents wanted me to, because I have the short attention span, and we'll talk about that some other day. She is also Supreme Court Justice of the State of New York, civil term and former supervising judge of civil court in New York County. Justice Kennedy previously served 10 years as an adjunct professor at Fordham University School of Law. She is a chair of the New York City Bar Committee to encourage judicial service and member of the Board of Overseas of the Benjamin R. Cardozo School of Law, where she received her law degree. Justice Kennedy promotes the advancement and empowerment of women through her membership in various women's organizations. Justice Kennedy serves as a member through her visits to various churches, schools, and other organizations as a youth motivational speaker, and is a recipient of numerous professional achievement and community service awards. She is also a speaker at panels, conferences. Justice Kennedy received her law degree, as I mentioned earlier, from the Benjamin N. Cardozo School of Law. And thank you, Justice Kennedy, for being here. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful, and thank you for having me, Danny. And let me say, I also have a glass of water with me, so I'm raising the glass to toast you and the team on your honor. Salute to you with the honor.
Thank you, and I've got mine raised here too, and we clicked them virtually, so thank you. I certainly appreciate that, and appreciate you being here with us on during Women's History Month. And as my mother always told me, Women's History Month is not just a month; it's the entire lifetime. So I give you your props, and also this is International Women's Day, if my memory serves me correct.
Absolutely. And if I may, I certainly just want to thank Robin Verges for connecting us. I know that the two of us, we were just juggling schedules and were not able to connect last year. But everything happens for a reason, and I can't think of a better day to have this conversation on International Women's Day. So for all of the women listeners, just want to say Happy International Women's Day, and certainly the theme for this year is hashtag balance for better, and certainly this is a call to action for complete gender equality. So I know that we'll get more into that, and also increased awareness of discrimination and celebration of women's achievements. So just once again, just thank you, and this is the perfect day for us to have a conversation.
Most definitely, and I guess as I think about it, more and more. I guess my mother was way ahead of the times, because I grew up with couldn't imagine and couldn't understand why, men and women weren't just 50-50. We walked together, arm in arm, doing our thing together, and I always knew women who could beat me up. So, and that were smarter than me. Let's be real about this. So. I just never got it, and sometimes I still don't get it, but I want to get right into our conversation.
Sure.
And ask you, who was the first person who gave, you your dream that you could, be a judge, and, and kind of, either literally or figuratively said, kind of a thumbs up?
Sure. I'm going to answer it this way, because I always wanted to be a lawyer, but I was planning a detour first. I really thought that I would make my mark on Madison Avenue, doing fashion, doing public relations, because I majored in advertising at Penn State. But when I graduated, the market was not good for jobs, and so I thought, let me accelerate my plans. Go to law school. And I never thought about becoming a judge. And I remember when I was a young attorney at the New York City Law Department, my supervisor there, her name is Betty Lawrence Lewis. She said to me, I can see you as a judge. And I laughed at her, because that is not the way I saw myself. Because a lot of times people see you other than how you see yourself. So let's fast forward. I had the great honor of working for a gentleman. His name is former Associate Justice Barry A. Cozier, as his court attorney. He's now a retired judge and a partner of his own firm. But when I saw him, and I worked with him, I would say, maybe close to 7 years, that's when I began to visualize myself in the role. So when there were certain persons that approached me about throwing my hat in the ring, because it happened twice. Someone approached me. Once again, I laughed it off. The second time, I said, I can really see myself in the role. And certainly Judge Cozier, my family, particularly my mother, and even the Harlem community, very supportive when I threw my hat in the ring for civil court, and even when I was elected 3 years ago to the Supreme Court.
I'm always fascinated by that question, and especially your answer, because part of what I do in my life, on weekends I'm an artist, and on the weekdays I do the publishing thing, and sometimes I wear both hats. And in this situation, I'm wearing both hats because I'm working on a project now about how people literally see themselves when they look in the mirror. And my question with all my artwork is that, we see different things. When I look in the mirror and see you, I see something, and you may look in the mirror and you see something else, because you might want to augment your lips. You may want to augment your body to change it because you see something differently. And, that made me, what you just said made me think of that, is that you Mr. Cozier saw one thing and you saw something different, and that always amazes me of how we, how people see something else in us that we don't see, or literally or figuratively. And here it is that you didn't see what he saw, and yet you were able to kind of match your vision up to his and empower yourself and become the judge that you have been, that you are, and going forward. Is that the difference between? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. I just wanted to say, it was really Betty Lawrence Lewis that really put that seed in, and then I said, oh no, but working with, Judge Cozier, I could begin to see it. But one thing that he did do for me, because I was a young judge, maybe just let's say maybe 6 or 9 months out. And he asked me to come on board with him to co-teach a class at Fordham University School of Law. It was a juvenile justice seminar. And once again, you see, we sell ourselves short, because I said to myself, me? I'm not even a year in. But once again, now, he saw something in me. I mean, obviously, he had to see something in me to hire me, right? But then to ask me to come on board to co-teach with him. And I did it. It was wonderful. We did it for 1 year. And then he had to step down because after retirement, he became a partner at a law firm. So with the increased responsibility, he just couldn't keep it up. And guess what?
Workload,
Turned the class over to me, and I taught it solo for the next 9 years.
Wow. It really quite an amazing story, and I can't wait for the book.
So many people say that.
I always believe that everybody's got a story, so and a story that somebody would love. I guess just if you can get Steven Spielberg to direct it, then you've really, or Oprah, then you've got a hit on your hands. But I wanted to go back, but I'm going to go forward.
Sure.
And to ask you a little bit about some of the work that you're doing now, and that is to talk about, the work that you're doing with the National Association of Women Judges, which sounds fantastic. And was that organization around when you were kind of going through what you were going through, replacing Mr. Cozier and his classes and such?
NAWJ was founded in 1979 by two visionaries, Justice Joan Dempsey Klein and the late Justice Vano Spencer. And Justice Dempsey Klein is a white woman, and the late Justice Vano Spencer was black.
What an interesting grouping.
And certainly, we have really served as the leading voice for jurists dedicated to promoting the judicial role in protecting the rights of individuals under the rule of law and engaging in civic education and ensuring equal access to justice, in the courts for all, particularly with a focus on women, minorities, and other historically disfavored groups and vulnerable populations, and certainly the advancement and promotion of women and persons of color, minorities at all levels of the judiciary, and particularly providing judicial education on cutting-edge issues.
And you also have started, of course, there's been the Me Too movement, and you initiated the We Too movement in the legal workplace, and it's a We Too in the legal workplace initiative. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, really excited about that.
Yes.
During my presidential term, we had launched a hashtag We Too in the legal workplace initiative at our annual legislative caucus on Capitol Hill. And this was our 13th annual meeting with the Congressional Caucus for Women's Issues to address sexual harassment in the legal workplace.
In the legal workplace.
Yeah, and the purpose was to ensure that women can thrive in healthy work environments free of sexual harassment and intimidation. And we had a panel of experts on this area to give suggestions regarding the roadmap and how to address these issues, and also to form strategic coalitions. But it was wonderful because we had both chairs, caucus co-chairs, Congressman Susan Brooks, Congresswoman Susan Brooks, Congresswoman Lois Frankel. It was just wonderful. Sheila Jackson Lee, Representative Sheila Jackson Lee,
wow, great.
Congresswoman Debbie Dingell, and certainly next month the organization is going to host a similar legislative caucus in California, and this was the first time in the organization's history that we opened up the meeting to persons who were non-members. So you had law students there, you had people just from regular walks of life, you had men, because we felt that it was important to be transparent so that the public could see our work. It was videotaped, and we had men attending as guests and on the panel, because in order to really achieve gender equality, we need both men and women working together. And lastly, Danny, I just want to add that so proud of the fact that we trademark that phrase. So we own 2 separate trademarks, #WeToo in the legal workplace, where we are continuing programming, we're partnering with other organizations, and just stay tuned.
Most certainly so, and it's one of those things where, of course, that makes complete sense, and at the same time, though, you would think that it would happen less in the legal field because it's against the law, So it's like, well, why would you do that? It's against the law. You work in the legal field, the industry, you should know that that's not right, but then people are people, right? They do these
unfortunately,
things.
no industry is immune, Danny.
Is immune,
this covers every facet, every walk of life, including the legal workplace.
Sad. And I just want, because, of course, maybe listeners are doing what I did before reading the press release that was sent to Harlem World Magazine, and I said, well, I wonder what the numbers are. And, of course, you had the numbers in the press release, and it was approximately 1 in 4 women reportedly experiencing sexual harassment. And it's like, what? We really got a long way to go, even though we've come a long way. And
that's right.
I mean, this is just ridiculous. Come on. I mean, and as an artist, also, it's starting to make me ask the question, as a guy, I don't hear about much of it, but, I imagine it's happening in the art world also,
It is. And, and that's why it's important for people to stand up and to tell their story. Because when a person tells their story, they don't only liberate themselves, but they also empower others, and certainly general awareness for the entire community.
And following up on that, my team here is waving to say, Danny, you're at the halfway point, and I want our listeners to know that they're listening to the Danny Tisdale Show already on Harlem World Magazine Radio, and we're speaking to Judge Tanya Kennedy, and she's talking about all the great work that she has been doing and the people that have influenced her. And as she's doing right now, because I know that someone out there is listening, a little one or a mom or dad, and this conversation will spur them forward and encourage them to do the kind of work that you are doing, Judge Kennedy. And really, I love this kind of conversation. And, where do you hope that we are when it comes to this kind of workplace harassment 10 to 20, 30 years from now? Is it just that it doesn't exist anymore, or that it's not 1 in 4, but maybe, that's changed? Where do you hope we will be 20, 30 years from now?
Anymore.
It doesn't exist anymore.
That's my hope.
Right.
I'm always an optimist.
Yeah, and that's right. And some people say one person can't make a difference, and believe me, one person can make a difference, and with this kind of initiative, a difference can be made. What advice also do you have? You have about 15 questions, and I'm, looking at them to ask which one should I ask as the clock ticks. And, speaking of parents listening, and maybe they're young ones or young twos, what advice would you have for, someone out there, young girl or young boy who wants to follow in your footsteps? They may be in some community that doesn't have the money to support the work that the young boy or girl might be doing right now, and they can't see that they can take that next step to become a lawyer, a judge. What words do you have for them, Judge Kennedy?
Sure. Well, certainly, I was not born with a silver spoon in my mouth. I come from very humble beginnings, born and raised in the Bronx, the product of a single-parent household. And I always say, it's not where you come from, but it's about your character, your drive, your will to succeed. And certainly, education is just so important. Learn all that you can. Also, it's important just to be nice. To be nice to people.
Wow.
Because certainly, I think people are more likely to help you on this life's journey when you are just a nice person. And certainly, as you climb up the ladder, you're not going to climb up by pulling someone down. There's enough out there for all of us. And certainly, as you rise, you have a responsibility to reach back. But certainly, you have to take the initiative. Internships, clinics, if there is someone who is in a position that you have interest in, reach out to them. Say, I think I'm interested. Can I have 5 or 10 minutes of your time? I don't think anyone would say no.
Right.
To that. Certainly, but education is very important. That's first and foremost. And and I just have to say, I'm a woman of faith. I attend Abyssinian Baptist Church, so certainly I'm a product of the Black church. I'm very proud of that. The Black church has also played an integral role in who I am and who I'm continuing to be. And so if you are a believer, I would certainly say also keep God in your life and seek his counsel, because he'll never steer you wrong.
Judge, I had to stop myself from getting the Holy Ghost over here with you saying what you were saying, so I had to hold back now. I think it's so true, and you mentioned, being nice, and it automatically made me think of a quote I read about The Rock. I forgot his first name, Johnson. but someone asked, well, why does this guy continually get these roles? You know, it's like he's in this movie, he's in that movie, he's in this play, he's in another movie. And somebody said that the answer is that people love working with him. He's always on time, and he never has anything bad to say, that he always has something good to say. And it just comes back to what you're saying, you know, to be, as I paraphrase, be a good person, and to you know, be positive, and that certainly goes a long way. And I just for the listeners, I always send guests my questions, roughly what my questions will be, because I always flip it and do a little freestyle. And I'm going to do some freestyle here with you, Judge, and you have no clue what I'm going to ask you, and it might be a tough question.
No worries, Danny. Before you do that, Danny, I want to add one more thing. Social media. They really have to be very careful about what they post, because, you know, applying to schools,
that's right,
colleges,
jobs,
employers, they look at that, and that stays forever. So
that's right.
I'm ready, Danny. I'm ready.
No. I got to add to that now, because when we employ people to work for Interview Magazine, whether it's, you know, a writer, whether it's a staffer, we go to their social platforms and see what kind of person they are on the platforms, just as we see what kind of person they are as we meet with them one-on-one. So that's excellent advice, because, you know, we just want to keep it positive and, you know, send love out, and you know, none of the negative, because that negative comes back to haunt you a lot of times. Right. That's a very good point. And I just wanted to quickly ask you, you know, some of our listeners, and sometimes myself, even though I have a brother who has been in the police department and has retired from the police department, so I have much respect for the police department. But, you know, some of our listeners and sometimes myself have challenges with the legal system and how it hands out its justice. What can we do in those situations, or to prevent some of those situations? Maybe that's more of the accurately of the question I want to ask. What can we do to prevent some of the negative things that happens to the justice system, to women, people of color, and people who are not of color? How can we improve the justice system as
That's an excellent question.
People.
That's an excellent question, Danny. And I'm going to answer it this way. It seems to me that the public very often, when it's time to vote for judges, they don't know who the people are. They have no idea about the process. One way is to become involved, to know what judges do, to know how they are elected, and to get involved with the process. There are various screening panels that are placed.
Great.
Why not, you know, volunteer with your particular organization? You can, you know, go to the website and learn more, you know, about this, but getting involved in the process. Now, certainly I came through the democratic process, but get involved. Know the judges that you're actually electing.
Right.
Get involved in the process of selecting and electing the judges.
Right. And, of course, that makes complete sense. And, of course, that should be what we do. And, Judge Kennedy, we are down to our last minute. I knew it was going to fly by. And I'm going to ask you two questions at one time and let you run with it. One, what is your favorite place in Harlem? And after that, can you let our listeners know how they can donate to your organization, to stay in contact with you, so that they can have the same insight that you have? Maybe.
Okay. Sure. I'm going to go back and one more answer to the prior question. Get involved in the community boards. You know, speak up, and also vote. you have so
20
much power,
seconds.
but don't use it. I love Chez Lucienne. I go there a lot. Now, I'm not advocating the business because, judges can't do that. But to learn more, www.nawj.org, because I can't solicit funds. And, Danny, I know that you'll have me back on so that listeners can hear more about what I'm going to be doing in the future.
Thank you, Judge Kennedy. Loved it. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
God bless. Bye-bye.
Charbroiled double deals from Carl's Jr. Pick one of three for only
$2.49 each.
The jalapeno double, the double cheeseburger, and the California classic double.
Only $2.49.
Carl's Jr. Gigantic flavor.
Small price.
Available for a limited time. Price and participation may vary. Price higher in Alaska and Hawaii. Tax not included.